Attention reloaders! Are your groups too big? Have you tried just about every powder on the market and can't seem to get those little holes to stick closer together? Well, today is your lucky day because I am going to show you
how to increase your accuracy.
Using my sophisticated drawing of a rifle's chamber, let me show you what we're trying to do here. When you chamber a round into your rifle, the bullet, when fired, will need to travel a few thousandths of an inch before contacting the rifling. The part of the bullet that first touches the rifling is the ogive, right here. You can achieve consistent accuracy as a general rule by reducing the distance that the ogive has to travel or jump before it contacts the rifling. Before we can do this, we will need to measure the maximum overall length of your specific rifle using a few tools that should run you about $100 or less, hopefully less. Please see the description box for links to these items. You will need an overall length gauge, a modified cartridge case for your caliber, minus .308 Winchester, a bullet comparator, which is what you will use to measure the bullet at the ogive, not the tip, and a measurement caliper. By the way, I have no affiliation with Hornady, much like I have no affiliation with Victoria's Secret. I just admire their products. Never mind. All right, let's start off with a safety check. Once the rifle is cleared, we can start assembling our tools. First, grab your overall length gauge and loosen the screw that secures the bullet retention rod so that it can slide freely. Then take your modified case and thread it onto the gauge. Finally, take the projectile that you want to measure and slide it into the modified case past the ogive, basically so that only the tapered end, the top half, is visible. Next, tighten the retention rod screw to lock the position of the bullet. Now take this Frankenstein of a creation and chamber it into your rifle. Look through the ejection port to ensure that the case is seated all the way into the chamber. Next, carefully loosen the retention screw, then ever so gently push the rod in slowly. This in turn will push the bullet until it contacts the rifle lands. You want to push or tap gently, then stop immediately when you feel resistance. You do not want to push the bullet further into the rifling. You just want it to kiss it gently on the cheek, so to speak. Carefully lock the retention screw, then pull out the gauge. Here's a bro tip. Sometimes the bullet sticks to the rifle lands and won't come out. Some folks recommend that you can push it out with a wooden dowel inserted into the barrel. However, I have a better idea. Keep a firm grip on the gauge, then lift up your rifle. Next, very gently wiggle it side to side and let gravity drop everything down. And there you have it, the maximum overall length for your rifle. Also, if you have a semi-automatic rifle, Hornady makes a curved version of the gauge that is inserted through the ejection port. Quick side note, on some rifles, your overall length will be so long that the bullet sticks out too far from the case neck. Unfortunately, for safety, I recommend that you do not proceed with these steps. You can still mess with bullet seating, but it will require a different procedure that I can cover in another video. Okay, now we need to actually measure the length. We start off by attaching the bullet comparator to your caliper. Loosen the screw, then slide the notch onto the blade of your caliper. Now slide the lower caliper blade so that it contacts the comparator. Tighten it down to secure it, and then zero out your measurement. To measure your cartridge, insert the projectile end into the comparator, then make sure the bottom caliper is sitting flat inside the notched end of the gauge and everything is secure. Here's my measurement, 2 and 242 thousandths of an inch. 2.242 is where the bullet touches the rifling, so let's back it down. And a good place to start is in increments of 20 thousandths of an inch, or 0.020. So 2.242 minus 0.020 is 2.222. Let's go to our reloading bench and load our first set of rounds. Keep adjusting your bullet seater until you reach your measurement. And here we go, 2.222 and a half. Good enough for me. Trying to measure half of a thousandth of an inch would drive me nuts anyway. Load about 10 of these rounds, then hit the range. If they do not group to your expectations, subtract another 20 thousandths of an inch and try again. If you intend to load your rounds into a magazine, you may need to keep shortening your overall cartridge length until it fits. I had to do this for my Remington 783. This process will need to be repeated for every projectile of a different weight that you intend to shoot. For example, I shoot 150, 168, and 178 grain bullets, and each one required their own measurements. I would also recommend measuring similar grain bullets from different manufacturers. Why do all this ogive measurement stuff instead of the bullet tip? Because the length from the ogive to the bullet tip can vary wildly. Here's an example. Let's measure several commercial cartridges. Here's a random fact of the day. According to the BBC, a bear can eat for 20 hours in a row. It must have enough fat reserves to survive the winter, so does this by eating for 20 hours in a row sleeping for 4, and then going at it again, which I would say is a skill easily matched by your average teenager. As you can see, the numbers are all over the place, and it's not uncommon for a number of cartridges to all have similar or close to similar ogive measurements, but different lengths when using the bullet tip. Alright, that about does it. Guys, I hope you find this video useful. This is an immense topic, and potentially dangerous if not done correctly. I tried to cover as much as I could, however, if you have any questions, please post it in the comment section and I'll get back to you right away. Unless, of course, I'm occupied with Hornady products or a Victoria's Secret catalog, in which case it might be a while. Thanks for watching and take care.